Hi, in this video I want to talk to you about the cat class that we had covered last week. I just want to quickly go over a concept called static. So we had different kinds of cats. We had one class called the cat class, and then we had created objects from this one class called cat1, cat2, cat3, and cat4. And then there were properties like name, color, age, and ID. So these were all available. All of these were all available to all these objects. And then there were methods similarly that were also available to the all the cat objects. So class versus object. Class is the blueprint and object is the actual implementation of the blueprint. So a house versus a house plan. So that's what the analogy is. So this is like a plan for constructing a house. This is like a plan for constructing a house. And this is actually like a building a house. So that's the difference between class and object. So all the methods and the properties of a class are available to each and every particular object. So when I say name, so this cat has name as Fluff. So there's a copy of that name here. This one is called Snow. This one is called Tiger. This one's called cat4. So these, there is a copy for each and every object because these are common for all of them and a copy is made for each and every single object. What if we want to know the total number of cats? So if you want to know how many cats are available, for example, it's like an adoption agency or something, and you want to know how many cats are there in all, and every time a cat is added, you want to up that counter. Every time a cat is adopted out, you want to lower that counter. Let us call it as cat for adoption. So if we have something called cat for adoption, we want this to be available at the class level and we don't want it to be available at the object level. So none of the cats, cat1, cat2, cat3, and cat4 will not have access to this cat for adoption. Only this particular class can access this particular variable. So when I say that, that is where we call as static. So all the static methods and properties are available to be used by the class. They are maintained at the class level, not the object level. So there will be only one version, one copy of this particular variable, as opposed to the 4 copies we have for these guys. Like these 4, there are 4 copies. This one is there's only 1 copy. So that is the use of a static keyword. So let us see how to implement this particular example. So I have a week 13 demo 1. This is the same. I made a copy of the cat class. I copied the cat class over to this particular project. I called it week 13 demo 1. It will be in GitHub for you to take a look at. So these are all basically the members of the class that are currently available. And these two are internal variables. And then we have a whole bunch of properties. We have constructors and so on and so forth. So let me just show you this one implementation of how we can go about doing a static member. So static member starts with static. So this is going to be a count. You can call it as cat count if you want. It doesn't matter. So this is going to be the, or we can say cat for adoption. Cats for adoption. So this is going to hold the count of how many cats are available for adoption. So this is a private member. If I want this to be accessible from the program.cs, I have to make a property for it. So I'm going to say public static int cats for. So that is going to be my property, a static property. So set will say I can do this as an auto implemented property, but I have some other ideas about how I want to handle it. So for now, I'm going to define it as a getter setter implemented property. So we leave it like this. So this is a static variable, a static member. This is a static property. So let's go in here, program.cs. I have 4 cats. So if I say my cat 1 dot, if I scroll through here, you can see that even though this is public, cats for adoption, it doesn't show up at the object level. It does not show up because this is only accessible at the class level. So this is only available at the class level. It is not available at the object level. So when you want to like call a property, a static property, you have to use the class name dot. Okay, so at this point, there is nothing, no value is available. So my thought process is every time we create a cat object, we have to increment the cats for adoption number so that we know how many cats are available. So let's go and do that. So let's go to the constructor. The constructor is the place where a new object gets created. So I want to do it here. I want to increment it in both of my constructor. So I have 2 constructors. I'm initializing it in both of my constructors. So let's do this. Let's just call it here. Let's do this after we create each and every cat. So we can see how they are getting created. So constructor is what creates an object. So every time an object is created, we want to increment the number of cats available for adoption. Okay, let's run this code and see what happens. Okay, so first time the cat's created, cat number 1, it says this number is 1, then it's 2, then it's 3, then it's 4. So at any point in time, we know how many objects have been created, which is how many cats have been created. So we are able to keep track of that. And remember that we are making the call at the class level, not at the object level. For example, if you want to do my cat 3.intro, so we are using object dot. In here, we are doing class dot. So that is the big difference. That is the big difference between static classes, static methods, static properties, and the usual regular public properties. Okay, so I got my 4 cat intros done. So let's think about it. So if we want to know how many cats are available for adoption, then there should be a method to adopt them out. So let's add some more code here to make this more meaningful. So let's go and add some other. Okay, so let's go and create some public string owner. So if public string adoption status, then public date time, date of adoption. This I'm defining for each cat. Remember, it's not static. So this is the regular property that I'm defining for each and every cat. So as a cat gets adopted, we want to change the number of cats available, decrease that by 1. As a cat gets added, like when the constructor is called, then we add 1 to that. So these are available at the object level, and this is available at the class level. So let's write some. So every time a new object gets created, we want to set the adoption status to available. Okay, so now let's write a method called adopt. And let's say they give the owner name, and then they give you the date time when it was adopted. So if this is a method, so here we will look to see if the cat's adoption status is available. If the cat is available, then we would give it for adoption. The owner name will be set to owner. Date of adoption will be set to date. So after this is done, because we are adopting the cat out, we have to change the property cats for adoption, decrease it by 1. Now we'll have 1 less cat to be adopted. Then let's write a message saying the adoption was successful. Okay, we return. So these statements, if this condition is met, the code exits here as opposed to here. Okay, so here there is a way for us to increment this cats for adoption every time the constructor gets called, and then there is a way for us to reduce the amount of cats available for adoption in this particular method. So let us do that. Let us go and make a call. Okay, so let us say my cat 1.adopt, and then we have to give owner name and then date of adoption. So date of adoption is a date time field. It's not a string field. So if your date is in a string format, you have to use the convert.toDateTime method, and then here you can give the date and time. So this is a valid way, and then let's just get the result, whether it was successful or not. So if you adopt a cat, then if you call the number of cats, you will know whether the number went down or not. And then let's try to adopt this out one more time and then see what happens. So the first time I call, I should be able to adopt the cat out, and then the cats for adoption should go down to 3. 4 cats were there, we adopted cat 1, which means we should have 3. Second time I try to adopt out the same cat because the status is going to be adopted, that should fail. So I want to test all the conditions. So let's run this program, see what happens. So, so it says there are 4 cats. First time, both time it's saying adoption was not successful. Let's see what's going on. Available, maybe there's a spelling typo check. Oh, available, available. Yeah, there's a spelling error here. Let's run it one more time. So first time adoption was successful, second time it was not successful. Okay, and let's also write the number of cats. I forgot to do this. Let's do it one more time. So initially, so every time we create an object, it's getting incremented. The static variable is getting incremented by 1. Once we adopt out a cat, it decreased by 1. Second time we try to adopt out the cat, it was not successful. So I hope this gives you an idea of when we would use a static property as opposed to a regular public property. Again, to reiterate, if a property is supposed to be used by each and every individual object, in our case, it's the cat. You know, our cat has a name. Every cat has a name. Every cat has an ID, age. Every cat decides its own number of cookies and kibbles and all that. And then for each and individual cat, we decide whether it's hungry or sleepy. So these are common for all the cats. And then if we want to go generic, these are common, these properties are common for all the objects. But if you want to like count the number of objects that are created totally for your cat class, that has to happen at the class level. It should not happen at the object level. So that is the reason why we use static properties. So in this example, we saw how to create a private static member and then a public static property. We learned how to access that from the program.cs by calling into the cat, the class, calling the class instead of the object. I hope this helps clarify what a static property is all about. Thanks.